Welcome back to the Everyday Saint podcast. It is going to be a fun recording. And why do I think that? It's because Shelby's on the mic. If you've listened for a while, you know that Shelby and I have a blast. She's a recurring guest. If you are a new listener, because we have quite a few new listeners this coming year, actually, especially after the Seek conference. If you were at the conference, you may have even met Shelby because she was able to help me in my booth, which was so fun. And I am looking forward to many a podcast with Shelby this coming year, but super excited to have her on the mic today. So welcome, Shelby.
Thank you, Eve. I'm really happy to be back. I love New Year's, and so I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today. And it was really fun seeing you in action at Seek. And meeting
It
a lot of the people who listen to the podcast was really cool. And yeah, very inspiring.
was wild.
Yeah.
I felt like the best week of my life that also required me sleeping for like 28 hours straight. That didn't happen, but like that's what was required
Yeah.
after Seek.
Yeah. No, that's real. When we would get back every night, you would be zonked before I even finished brushing my teeth. Like a lot of
I'm
nights,
trying to think through. I like don't even remember.
Some night some nights you would still be up praying, but most nights I'd come back and you were just like and I'd be like, "Good night, Eve."
Did you really say goodnight?
I think a couple times, and you were just out. I was like, "Fair." That
Oh my, yeah, I don't remember that at all. I was
so
absolutely already
funny.
out. That is
Hey,
so funny.
those were long
I didn't
days.
even know that.
I think it only happened, like, once or twice. The other nights we
Once or twice out of 4
had
nights.
it. Only half the time.
Only half. I know, that's so funny. That is like, I don't know, a secret talent of mine slash Hashimoto's, but I don't have Hashimoto's, symptom where I can just, like, fall asleep right away. I'm
Yeah.
already, like, ready to go to bed. Like, people talk about praying their rosary as they go to sleep,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean you pray your rosary as you go to sleep?" By the 3rd decade, I'm already, like, unsure if I'm even saying the Hail Mary anymore because it's all
Yeah.
mumbled
Yeah.
in my
No, that's
head.
real. Honestly, sometimes I don't even get to the first decade. I say the
Mhm,
opening prayers, and
mhm.
and sometimes I even try to, like, kneel by my bed to pray it because 'cause I'm like, "That'll keep me awake." Mm-mm.
No?
Just, like, face down on the bed. I think that means I don't sleep enough. So I'll just, like, have it right here, and I'll be like this,
No.
and then I'll be like, It's really bizarre.
Oh, that's when you call out the spouse, Saint Joseph, and ask him to help you.
Yeah. Or my
And the
guardian
husband and
angel.
send Saint Joseph in.
Yeah, real, real.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wait, this is so off topic, but this speaking of Saint Joseph, okay, this is funny. When we were at the conference, they had like there was a booth that was like pulling you could get your saint of the year, you pick a prayer card. Mine was Saint Joseph, which is fun. We love Saint Joseph, but if you know, you know that's a tough tough one. But that's not the story I was gonna tell. The story I was gonna tell, was that I had a book club this past weekend. Great little Catholic girls book club. But we were talking about, like, Mary going over to talk to Saint Joseph after she had the Annunciation. It was like, what would she have been, like, thinking about? Like, would she have, like, walked in the door and be like, "Joseph, you gotta sit down for this one, dude. Like, I got some news." And then someone
Yeah.
went, like, "Actually, I've never thought about Mary even telling Saint Joseph." Like, I don't know that she did. I feel like Saint Joseph actually heard by word of mouth because of how, like, society functioned at that point.
Mm.
Which I don't know if that's true. I think they were, like, engaged that they would have been closer than him finding out by word of mouth. But that was an interesting thought to have that, like, because if you think about it, in the Gospels, why does no apostle ever record Mary and Joseph having that conversation? Like, don't you think that would have been really important? Where it's
Right.
like, why was it not significant enough that they wrote about it? Or is there something to be said about the fact that it didn't matter what either one of them said in that conversation, like, that wasn't the point?
Right, like, maybe it was enough to just talk about how they handled it.
Mhm.
And I think it almost would I don't know. That's a really interesting thought.
It is.
And I'm thinking too, like, with the word of mouth thing, I wonder if, because Mary was gone for so long, she wasn't showing until she came back from the visitation, and that's when he found out. So I wonder if it was such that, like, as she was coming back into the village, someone saw and, like, ran into
Mm.
town, and then that's how it spread. So, like, Mary didn't even have the chance to tell him before someone, like, spread the word and then everyone, you know? Hmm,
Maybe.
interesting. These are the
The
things to
Yes,
ask Peter at
so
the pearly gates.
at the pearly gates, and we see
Yeah.
him. No, this is just a wonderance that I had, and I didn't really mean to get into theology so early on to this episode. I was like, "We're gonna yap for a
Hey.
while," and we will. But that was just a thought now that yeah, we brought up the rosary and Saint Joseph. But,
Yeah.
okay, topic for today's episode is just kind of 2025 into 2026. What are ins and outs? What did we think about 2025? What are we thinking about 2026? Especially for Miss Shelby, who's getting married this year. Hello?
Mm,
So
crazy.
fun. So Shelby, I feel like when I think about New Year's in general, we're both very like future goal oriented people. But
Mhm,
I don't wanna neglect the fact that in order to know where to go from here, we have to, like, think about where we've been. So,
mhm.
I would love to know what is one thing you learned in 2025? What's one thing that surprised you in 2025? And I don't know, did you have a word for 2025? No. Okay.
No, not
I'm
really.
skipping the
I probably said one in January and then
and forgot.
promptly forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then best moment of 2025. Those 3 things. So what you
Mhm.
learned, what surprised you, best moment.
Okay, okay. Um, well, I was sorry, this is, like, kind of unrelated, but I'm currently staring at my 2025 vision board that I had made. So that I was like, I didn't have a word, but I'm staring at the
Had
vision
a
board that
vision.
I made for
Is it
2025.
accurate? Do you feel like
It's
it
pretty accurate. I ended up making 3. This
That is the most Shelby thing I've ever heard.
I had one for because I was like, "My life is gonna change so much in 2025."
Oh, yes.
Graduated college,
Mhm.
spent that summer just trying to figure out my life,
Mhm.
what I was gonna do, and then spent the last part of the year getting settled into my new life. So I was like, "I need 3 different
Mhm.
ones." So I made one for the end of college, one for the summer, and then one for, like, the fall, winter. And they actually my college one is there 2 of them are over there. But my college one and my summer one were pretty accurate, and my fall, winter one was actually pretty accurate too. But this goes into what you asked, something that I learned. I went into 2025 with completely different expectations than what happened, and I think the biggest thing that I learned in 2025 was just, like, radical surrender. Um,
Radical.
like, just yeah,
I love that
completely
word.
just, like, radical surrender. I do too. Radical's like it's good
Mhm.
'cause I, like, thought I was maybe gonna be getting married in 2025. Obviously, I'm not. I'm getting married in 2026, which is God's perfect timing, and it ended up working out so well. I thought I wanted to be a corporate girl and, like, get a job in the city at a PR firm or something. And now I currently work for an abbey in Atchison, Kansas. That's about as opposite as you could get.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought I was gonna try to live alone, get an apartment by myself. I didn't. I got an apartment with one of my college best friends. And so it's like a lot of things happened in a way that I didn't necessarily want and didn't necessarily expect, but surrendering those things, I ended up getting exactly what I needed. So that was what I learned in 2025. And then what was the next question you had?
Something that surprised you in
Oh.
2025. But I like what you learned too. Okay, one, I just love the word radical. I like thinking about it. I read a book once that was like The Radical Jesus or something. I think it's a Matthew Kelly
Mm,
book. They were giving it out for free one Christmas. And I
yeah.
read it and I just like the word, like thinking about how radical he was. It's like, yeah. But it also
Yeah.
seems like radical, it's like red. Like
Yeah.
that's wild. I like
Yeah. I like that radical Jesus because he was radical, but not it's like even God, like, takes that word and it, like, has a different meaning when you look at it through the lens
Mhm.
of faith versus, like yeah.
Yeah, like this
Anyways.
man turned tables.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, but he also just, like, sat with sinners, you know? So it's like,
Mhm.
not all radicalism is, like, these big actions, you know? Sometimes you can be radical in the quietest, simplest moments of, like, choosing to hold your tongue rather than snapping back at someone, you know, like, that's pretty radical.
Yeah. Well, and
Mm.
two, I like that point. It doesn't always require words. Like, think about if you were in the room with Jesus and you're about to go sit down for dinner, and that man, like, everyone's finding their spots. Like, you're kind of, when you're like picking your spot to sit at a dinner or something, like, you're probably kind of scouting out, like, oh, I kind of want to be in the middle because then I'll be able to talk to the most people. And if I end up sitting next to this person, I'm going to get stuck in this conversation and not be able to talk to this person, or this person. And like, without saying anything, Jesus would have just walked to the person that needed him the most in that moment, or like the
Mhm.
lowliest of all of them. And like, that would
Mm.
have spoken volumes to
Mhm.
everyone else. Like, I would imagine the shock, like, that he didn't sit at the head and everyone just, like, watches him sit somewhere else. You're like,
Right. Yeah, it's kinda like that moment of like, "Oh, I hope he sits next to me. I hope he sits next to me," and he just, like, walks past all of them. That yeah, that's a cool thing
yeah,
to think about.
it is. Okay, so
Um,
one thing that surprised you
something
in
that
2025.
all of it. Something
Yeah,
that
it was a
surprised
big year.
me.
Wait, let's, like, quick
Yeah,
recap. It was a big year for
yeah.
us. Like,
Huge
as,
year
like,
for us.
college graduates, you had your last
Yeah.
semester of college.
Mhm,
I had my shrine and speaking tour, started my speaking career,
mhm,
and road tripped, and then we both graduated in May, and then
mhm.
you moved away from home essentially that same month,
Yep.
and I moved back home for a little bit, and then I moved to DC, and then you started your new job around the same time, and then you got
Yeah.
engaged, like, 3 months ago at this point? 4 months ago?
Yeah, 3 and a half
3 and a
ish.
half?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I've
September.
just been all over the country speaking. Like, this has been a
Yeah,
wild year. It
yeah,
really has.
it really has. Yeah, and it wasn't, I don't think, what either of us expected
Oh, heck
at
no.
all.
Heck
No,
no.
no. Yeah,
One of
I
the
know
best
for
years
you, it, like
ever, but
yeah,
absolutely not what I thought, but
yeah.
we'll get there. I just wanted to, like, quick recap too, because if
Yeah, no,
anyone
I
hasn't heard our stories before and where we're at in life, like,
mhm.
we're are you 23 now? Or are you turning
No,
23?
not yet.
Okay.
My bachelorette is on my birthday, the
Yes.
21st of March.
Yes. Oh, I'm so
So, that's when
excited.
I'll be 23, but
Yes, okay, so, yeah, we're both 22
yeah,
years old. We
yeah,
don't know we just had to figure it was a whole year just figuring out what the next one step was.
yeah,
That's really what put if anyone is listening to this as a senior in college or going to graduate college, know that the first year well, probably more than the first year, but I can only speak to the first year post grad. It is just one step at a time, one decision at a time.
yes,
Give yourself a
yeah,
lot of patience, give yourself a lot of grace. You just need to
yeah,
know the next right step. You don't need to know the next 10-year plan. You don't need to know the next year plan. Heck,
mhm.
could be dead. Okay?
That was very Benedictine of you, E.
So my thing, it's not that serious. You could be dead.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Mhm.
That's very
And
true.
we're almost
Keep death always
24.
before your eyes.
And we know the magic number of being 24 in the Catholic Church. You either get
Oh,
married
no.
or you die and become a saint. Okay, there's so many saints that have died at 24. Saint
That
Joseph
is so
Lisieux, Saint
interesting.
Kateri Tekakwitha. I think Saint Pierre Giorgio Frassati,
Mm,
possibly.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
He was early, like early 20s for
Yeah.
sure. There's something magic about that you're 24 years old. I guess you're getting married at 23, so you're real darn close.
So I might
You're
die at
right.
24.
The clock is ticking.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Okay.
All jokes
That's good.
aside, now I'm gonna ask you probably for like the fifth time because we keep getting distracted.
Like you said, we yap. That's what we do.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Biggest surprise of 2025 or something that surprised you.
I think the healing that happened at the end, and honestly, like, over the summer too, just, like, the deep, like how do I word this? Hmm. I was really frustrated when I graduated and couldn't get a job,
Mm.
and I didn't have a job until August. So, the whole summer from May to August, I, like, didn't have a job. And I kind of did. I freelanced for a little bit, worked a few hours a week, but it really, like
Not enough to pay rent.
no, no, not much at all. And I was really upset about it and felt like a failure for not having a job yet, which I know, like, everyone older than me was like, "Shelby, this is normal, like, it's really hard to get a job. This is the hardest part, like, hardest time to get a job," but I still, like, really felt like a failure because I had never faced that before. I was very lucky to always get every job I interviewed for. Like,
Mhm.
I never really faced rejection a whole lot growing up, which I'm very grateful for. So this was just, like, hard for me to experience. Um, but looking back at it after I got my job in August, I realized that that time was so needed for me because I was able to just rest and able to just recuperate and, like, spend time with my friends and spend time with Gator and just, like, not have any, like, commitments really outside of relationships that I had to attend to. So it was honestly really, really nice. Going from running myself ragged in college to being able to just, like, exist for 3 months was really
Mhm.
nice, and that surprised me to realize that, like, "Oh, I really did need that, actually."
Yeah, you're a busy woman. We say yes to
Yeah.
a lot. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Was it weird to,
Yeah.
like, not have that structure?
Yeah. It was. It was like I still felt like I was in build mode mentally,
Mm.
but at the same time felt stuck, and it was really weird to not have that, like, go, 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 go,
Mhm.
go. To just be like, "Oh, actually, I don't have anything I need to be going to."
Mhm.
It was kind of odd. Yeah, yeah. What would you
Mhm.
say, Eve, was your biggest surprise?
Um,
I know the answer to this
I
one.
think we all know the answer to this one because I brought it up in my Seek Talk and, um, and other podcasts that we've done as well. I don't know that
Uh-huh.
I've really done a deep dive on this one. I don't know. I don't feel the need to, like, air my dirty laundry with it either necessarily, but I did get broken up with, earlier this year in a relationship that was, like, 3 years long after he had promised he was going to propose this year. So that was a shocker for sure, because it was very much
Mhm.
out of the blue, didn't really expect it. I should have expected it in hindsight. Girls always know, always trust your gut. I'd say your
Yeah.
gut is, um, correct most of the time, with prayer, correct with prayer. If you're in a state of grace, you can take good guesses where God is leading you. And so that was a huge surprise because that totally blew up any plan I had
Mhm.
for what my life was going to look like because I had figured out where I was going to live because of this relationship, figured out my vocation because of this relationship. I had financial stability in the eyes of having this relationship because I could do this and we could survive on two incomes. Da, 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 da. So there's a big plan in place going into 2025. I was actually looking, I made predictions for 2025 and it was like none of them were true. Some of them were. Some of them were like I had on there, I was like, I'll move away from home. I was like, I did do that. It just wasn't where I thought it was gonna be.
Wow.
And so I think that situation happening surprised me, but what
Mm,
happened because of it surprised me even more in the
mm,
best way, in the
mm.
absolute best way. Because I realized like, I learned so much about myself from going through that, but also not even in the sense of like, yes, sure, when you go through a breakup, like, there's, like, things that you learn and that you reflect on, but I just realized how much I love a plan and how much I love the security of having that plan, and God is a secure God, but he doesn't always work in security, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like
Yeah.
there were times where it was like I was dangling from a branch and just said like, "I trust in you." You know, like like, it wasn't
Yeah.
me, like, going out and doing things I was, like, just dangling off
Yep.
the side of a branch and, didn't
Yeah.
really know where the ground was and was just saying like,
Mhm.
"Jesus, like, you're in control." And I feel like this year, I was surprised at how much I got to dream again
Mm,
and, like, think about what I really wanted for my life, and that made me really excited for what's
mm,
to come. Made me really excited for the everyday saint to be speaking
yeah.
more, uh, even be especially because my topic is all about relationships. So there's been so much I've learned in that, and I feel like I can give better advice to people too, now that I've
Mm,
gone through that.
yeah.
So, I think overall,
Good.
yeah, situation surprised me, but seeing how God is so faithful and so steadfast.
Mm,
Because if you listen to my Seek Talk, one, you need
mhm,
to listen to it if you haven't. But if you haven't listened, I brought up this story about how January 2025, my word of the year was steadfast because I'm like, "There's gonna be so many changes. I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna get engaged, I'm gonna start planning a wedding, I'm gonna move, to this place and da 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 da." That didn't happen, and then God just had to, like, show me how steadfast he really is
mm,
in a
mhm.
completely different way than I thought, which just, like, ah, I just know he was giggling when I picked that word.
Yeah,
So yeah,
probably.
those were my
Like,
surprises of 2025.
those are those are good ones. Those are big ones.
Yeah. It was just a huge year. My family, we always make top 10 lists, like, top 10 moments of
Oh,
the
that's
year.
fun.
And I literally sat down to make it, and before we even started, my family and I were all just like, "I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I have lived 12 lives this year."
That's goodness.
Shelby's a little tired.
Yeah, a little sleepy. Um, but no, that's so real. I feel like this year was like, one of those when people just wrap a gift in, like, 15 boxes to, like, prank someone? Like, that's what this year kind of was. Every time I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get to the gift this time." Another box. And I was like, "Okay, cool.
And
Another
you
one."
open it and you go, "A box, a box." Like, that's how I'm like,
Exactly. Exactly.
"Oh,
Yeah.
it's an avocado. Thanks."
Thanks. I love that video. Such
You know what other video that reminds me of? I was talking to someone, and I don't remember how this got brought up, but it was the corn song from, like,
You loved the corn
2022.
song.
It
Yes.
was always stuck in my head. We were, like
Yeah.
you and
You
I were in
sang at
Italy at
home.
the time. "It's corn." A big clump of knobs. It's got the juice. It's got
It's
the
got the
juice.
juice.
Imagine
Imagine
a more beautiful thing. That's
I
so
remember that. You sang that all the time, and it was so funny.
just
You
around you though, I think. I was, like, I was intentionally, like, I knew you had the humor to keep up with that one.
Yeah, that is my humor. Yeah, I love that video. Yeah, you had that song, and then I don't know if you remember this, but it was the Running Up That Hill, but the avocados. Do you remember? I was like, "If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. 2 avocados for $10." He'd say, "That's not very good." I'd say, "Yeah, but you got."
Vaguely remember that.
I thought that was the funniest video I had ever seen, and I sang that all the time to the point where Gator had to be like, "Shelby, like, you have to stop," because
Oh,
I would just sing it
no.
on loop all the time because I thought it was so funny, and he laughed the first, like, 100 times,
The first 100.
and then after a while, he was like,
Oh,
"Stop."
goodness.
Yeah. We just brought that up the other day, actually. He started singing it the other day in the car, and I was like, "You remembered that."
It left
I
its
thought that
mark.
was funny. Mhm.
It did.
It did.
Yes,
It did.
okay. Um,
On that
going
note,
back yes, okay, was there anything else there was a question I had about 2025, and now I'm trying to think of what I was going to ask you about 2025, but I don't really remember. I think that was probably a good synopsis, actually, of 2025, and I know
yeah.
we both picked words for 2026. I
Yeah.
do you do New Year's resolutions too, usually?
Uh, Not really, I kinda just do goals. I don't really do
Resolutions,
resolutions.
yeah. I'm more on the word train. Choo choo.
Mm.
I like
I like
saying the
that.
word. I feel like that
Yeah,
encapsulates most of what I wanna do anyways.
yeah.
So, Shelby, what's your word? Well, first, okay, I need no, don't just tell us the word, I wanna know the story behind the word.
Okay. So I'm a weird mix of I think about things for a really long time, but at the same time, I am incredibly impulsive. And I don't really know I'm a bit of I, like, confuse myself in that way,
Mhm.
and I think it's, like, the things that are closest to me, like, the truest desires that I have, I just think about for a really long time and try to plan out every step of them before actually taking any steps or taking any action, and I think it's because I hold them so close and I don't want them to fail that I don't even start trying, versus things that I'm like, "Oh, this could be cool." I'll just, like, do it without really giving it a second thought, and that has led me to some really cool things. But they're not exactly, like, aligned with what I want my long-term goals to be. So with that being said, as I was thinking and Eve encouraged me over Seek to come up with a word, I came up with 2,
You
actually, a
came up with
phrase.
2?
Yeah, it's kind of a
Oh.
phrase. You know the first one, but I added an adjective to make it even better,
Oh.
and I don't know if I
Oh.
told you that.
I don't think
Um,
so, because this was one of those moments where it kinda, like, was spontaneous. You just
yeah,
picked it in a
yes,
way.
it was, and then I think it was after adoration.
Mhm.
I was like, that wasn't really the focus of my prayer at all, but I kind of felt that after. So with all of that being said, I have a lot that I want to accomplish, and I think I'm actually starting to get to a point where I can now grow because there's been a lot of like stabilizing, and kind of building the foundation of like learning how to live on my own and learning how to provide for myself and work a 8 to 5 and, just do all of those basic adulting things. Now I feel like I've gotten that somewhat figured out so I can actually now take steps to like grow and go after some of those dreams and goals I've had for a while. So with that being said, my phrase for this year is courageous action.
Mm.
Mm.
Courageous action. I
Yeah.
like that. What brought on the courageous? Because you told me action.
Yeah.
So I'm
I would
curious
say
what was, like, specific to yeah, why not just choose courage or just choose action?
because I what paralyzes me is the fear of failure.
Fair.
And I'm like, I know that's not unique to me, like, I know a lot of people have that, but I think, like, what I keep going back to is, like, courage isn't the absence of failure, but taking action, like, despite the fear. Or sorry, not failure, fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but doing what's right in the face of it. And so, like, keeping that in mind of like, yeah, you might fail. This might not work out. You might change directions. You might end the year somewhere completely different than you thought you were going to. And that's okay, but you still need to take the next step that you know is the next step
Mhm.
and like be courageous in that way.
Yeah, I like it. It seems to be building off of what you've already been learning in a good
Yeah.
like, I think it should, right?
Yeah.
Like, usually our New Year's resolutions don't necessarily start from square one. Like, there's, like, a
Mhm.
first step for everything, but, like, there's been something that's been, like, ruminating for a
Mhm.
while. So I
Yeah.
feel like that makes sense
Mhm.
as you step into the next big phase of your life.
Yeah.
Just be
I agree.
courageous as you make really big
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing I did learn in 2025, I, like, had to be courageous in a lot of ways, and so actually, like, recognizing those things as courage rather than just being like, "I did what I had to do." It's like, yes, but also there's a lot of courage in doing that, like, choosing to stay
Mhm,
where I felt like God was telling me to stay even though I didn't have a plan and didn't really have much money. I had money to last me a couple months, and after that, I didn't know what I was gonna do.
mhm,
So, like, that took a lot of courage to follow that tiny whisper in my heart to stay in Kansas rather than going home. Or like, marriage prep has taken a lot of courage to open up in ways that I didn't even expect. Cause like we've been together for 4 years and we went into it being like, oh, what more could we possibly learn about each other? Which is so stupid. Like so naive of us to say. Cause there has been just like there's just always more you can learn about someone and always more you're gonna learn about yourself, and I've found that a lot of it is stuff I don't really care to learn about myself, but I have to,
mhm.
so that I can be made better, and be sanctified in that, and that takes a lot of courage. So, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that a lot. Shoot, I had a point that I wanted to make while you were talking. No, I don't remember. Oh, yes. Okay, this was actually a really important point. But I think something I've recognized as people who like to achieve or set high standards for ourselves is that sometimes when we face the big things, this is what you were saying about like the decisions of what you did that actually did take courage, is like, and not that we want to pridefully give ourselves recognition, but we need to, like, actually take a moment to reflect on the things that have, like, God has really given us the strength to endure that are quite remarkable because we don't always realize it. It was like, no, in my mind, because of the standard I had set for myself, this was the expectation, and I just met
Right,
my expectation. But the truth is that then we're not, like, grateful for the gifts that God is giving us and the strength
right.
that He's giving us to actually do these things because 'cause we're like, "No, this is just
Mhm.
the expectation." But, like, no, it's a huge thing that you moved away from your family, took a big bet on yourself, didn't have the job to secure it, and sometimes we just need to, like, be reminded that, like, these are big things that we're doing, and, like,
Yeah.
there's something to commend in that.
Mhm.
You know, like, we don't wanna just, like,
Yeah.
skim these big life things by because we're so busy getting the next thing because we've, like, met this current expectation. But that current
Right.
expectation was a huge deal.
Right, yeah. Like yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, I think you're so right. There's so many things that, like, just seem simple
Mhm.
and, like, yeah, it's just the next right thing. But it's like, yeah, but it's a hard next right thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, for you, I'm sure moving to DC was kind of one of those moments that you're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
next
well,
thing."
that's kinda what I thought of too, like, I guess anecdotally is, like, I did that. I moved to DC, I didn't know anyone. I've never lived on my like, I have roommates and everything, but, like, I've never,
Right.
like, lived on my own before. I have
Right.
no job security with my job. I didn't have a job lined up here, like, there wasn't, like, that wasn't drawing me to this area. I
Mhm.
didn't know anyone, didn't know anything about this area, really. Didn't really
Right.
do a whole lot of research, just felt like I wanted to move here, needed to move here, and so I did. And, like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize actually how crazy that is for me to do until, like, months later, I'll be talking like, meeting someone out for coffee, and it's like, "Oh, how did you end up in DC?" And, like, I share that story, and they're like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And they're like
Yeah, you're like,
I'm like, "It's no big deal." And they're like,
"Yeah."
"No, like, that's really, like, crazy that you did that." And that it was, like, someone else saying it that made me realize, like, "Oh, you know what? That was pretty bold of me to do." And, like, praise
Right.
God that he gave me the grace to endure it, because there were definitely moments where I was like, "This is overwhelming and intimidating, and I'm
Right.
trying to, like, survive and figure this stuff out, and I feel like I'm disappointing people and da 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 da."
Mhm.
But, yeah, God remains
Right.
faithful, and, like, we need to commend ourselves like, give ourselves more grace in that, like, that was a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can celebrate that, even though it's hard.
Mhm.
It's, like,
Right.
hard it was a hard thing to do, and even though,
Mhm.
yes, you always saw yourself moving out of home, out of college, and everything,
Right.
there's still, like, a celebration that needs to happen that you actually went out and did it. It's one thing to just talk
Right.
about it, it's one thing to think about it, it's another thing to actually go and do it.
Right. Yes. That's so true. That's so true. And, like, yeah, listening to that, like, whisper inside of yourself instead of settling for comfort, actually, like, listening to, like, "No, I think this is what I need." And it may not be the easiest, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And something I also reflected on a lot during that time of trying to figure out where to go is I put so much pressure on the decision that it was gonna, like, make or break my sainthood, basically.
Hmm.
And it was, like, this moment of clarity of, like, "No, God is going to be wherever you go,
Mhm.
but what's gonna make or break your sainthood is if you actually go and find him where you are." You know?
Mhm.
And it just was, like, this moment of, like, can I go like, wherever I end up, can I go to mass? Can I go to adoration? Can I go to confession? And if the answer is yes, then cool, do it,
Mhm.
go. There's really, like, no reason to not, you know? And sure, there are some moments where there is gonna be maybe a bigger, clearer call on your life to go somewhere specific, but if you're not necessarily experiencing that and you haven't discerned that, then it's okay to go where you want to go. As long as you're gonna still seek God wherever that is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, sometimes God always doesn't always tell us exactly what we need to do. It's like we have to have the
Right.
free will to make that decision ourselves.
Right.
And I think God can really reveal a lot to us in our desires as long as they're holy desires.
Right.
And, yeah, that sounds kinda seems to me like maybe what you're getting at a little bit.
Yeah.
But it reminds me too of actually the book I was just reading for this book club. It's called The Read of God. Phenomenal
Mm.
book. Phenomenal book. It's all about, like, imitating Mary, not just venerating her, but, like, imitating her specifically in the way that she, like, walked with Jesus and just it discussed a lot about suffering and how truly it would have been, like, Mary's suffering would have been Jesus's, and Jesus's would have been Mary's because of how close they were to one another, that, like,
Mm.
whatever suffering one another went through, they really would have gone through it together because they would have
Mm.
felt so deeply for each other, and, like, that's necessary to become like Christ, and that's how we are to imitate Mary in that way was because she imitated Christ so well, but that's just preface to the book. There was this part of the book that, like, I don't even remember what she said, but I just had this recognition, like, God is already in me. Like, God is
Mm,
already here. Like, he's already
mhm,
present here. Like, first off, grace isn't just a blanket that we put over ourselves to cover up our wretchedness. Like, grace actually works interiorly to
mm,
completely restore what's
mhm,
evil.
mhm.
But not only that, like, God is already present there, already
Yeah,
currently existing and available there. And I
yeah.
just, like, yeah, I don't even remember what I read, but I just remember writing down in the margins, like, "God is in me. This changes
Mhm,
everything." And
mhm.
it does. Because if that's
Yeah.
the truth, that does change everything. Because
Mhm.
then it's not a going out and seeking God. It is a
Yes.
recognition that
Yeah.
he's already there.
Yes. Exactly. That is exactly what I was trying to get at. Like, that was so well put of, like, yeah, it was like the whole time putting this back into, like, the story of 2025 for me, I felt like I needed to go find God in one of those places, and that if I didn't choose the right place, I wasn't gonna find God. And so then it was like that moment of like, "No, you're gonna find God where you seek him because he is everywhere, he is within you, like, he is in the people you meet." And so, yeah, it's, like, exactly what you're saying you learned from that book is
Mhm.
yeah, that was a very good way of putting it.
Thank you. Shout out to Carol Houselander. Houselander? Housewinder? Something like that. Whoever wrote that book, it was good. Yeah, it really yeah, it's just like the simple truths of the faith of, like,
Mm,
how can we forget that God is already in us? That
mhm,
he's already with us, like, already
mhm,
always
mhm.
present there.
Yeah, and wherever we seek him, we will find him.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This actually kind of ties in a little bit to my word of the year too. Um,
Yes! Tell us,
okay,
Eve.
so before I say what my word was, this kinda came from a place one, I'm gonna do, I think, maybe an episode on this, so I don't wanna talk about it too much, but I hope now I have to hold myself accountable to actually do an episode. But I've been developing in my mind and in my prayer this theology of fun. Fun is not my word. I was like, "I don't want my word to be fun." I don't know. I just didn't want that. I was like, "That doesn't seem right." Um, but I've just been thinking more about, yeah, this theology of fun and what it means to, like, just be having fun in your life, and then it's fun to be Catholic, and then it's fun to live this life in God. Like, Mary and Jesus would have been the most fun people to be around. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of
Yeah,
it because they had so much humility, but like, so much humility just to, like, have fun and not worry about it, but also
mhm,
would have been so intentional that they just would have known what to be funny about. But so I've been thinking about, like, this fun and funniness, and then also just, like, 2025 was a year of just, like, continuously going before God and being like, "Who the heck am I and who the heck are you?" Like, because of that. Like, I thought I knew how to listen to your voice. I thought I knew what it sounded like. And I guess I was wrong. Like, I don't know. And I don't know, in hindsight, I don't know that I was wrong. I think God was leading me where I needed to be right then. And sometimes we have to say yes to the wrong, quote unquote thing in order for us to then be able to say yes to that actual right thing.
mm,
Um, so I think, yeah, I think I was following God's will even though it didn't end in the way that I thought it was going to,
mm,
or in the way I thought it had been, like, made known to me in my prayer,
mhm.
which is a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. But yeah, so I was like just constantly going before God and being like, I really don't know who I am anymore because, and especially in a long term relationship, not that I was like losing my individuality because I still
right,
think I held on to that very well. Like I wasn't reliant on this person or dependent on this person for my sense of self worth or anything. But when that relationship ends and you've been with them for so long, now your life just looks so different that you really do have to
right,
redefine yourself. And so I
right,
was getting really overwhelmed by like this redefinition of myself, not only of like early in the year going through this relationship change, but then also towards like I moved at the end of August, beginning of September, so there'd been, like, a couple months in between and then another big life change of moving and
Right.
refinding myself and finding new friends, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was like, "Man, I just don't know as much about myself as I thought I did," like, I was so sure. And so I just been thinking about that more, and instead of getting intimidated by it, I was like, "You know what I need to do? I just need to be curious about myself again." So that's my word of the year is curiosity. And not only just being, like, curious about this question of who am I, but really being curious about God because I think if, like yeah, we need to, like, keep asking God who he is, like, we don't know everything. We don't know everything about him,
Mhm.
no matter how many times we come to prayer and it's like, "Oh, I feel like I'm reading the same scripture every single time," or I've, like, heard this gospel before, like, there's always something to learn about God. But then also being really curious about other people, like, who is this person in front of me? That's something that I have
Yeah.
loved about moving to DC actually, is being able to, like, meet so many people, so many different, like, stories, and yeah, I was doing the math, I've gotten, like in the last 1 week, 1 calendar week, I've had I think I counted, like, 8 get-togethers. It's like 1 a day,
That's wild.
which is
That's
a lot
really
for, like
yeah.
especially DC, that's very work-oriented, but we make it work. This is
Yeah.
what my life is about, I guess, is lots of coffee dates, and it's so
Yeah.
fun, and I really love it, and I love this time of life, and I just love being able to get to know people and talk with them, so
Mhm.
and I think the key to any good conversation really is curiosity, like, if you lose curiosity in another person, like, what do you
Yeah.
have left? Like, you
Yeah.
really need to be curious about is this, like, really complex being in front of me.
Right.
So, yeah, being curious about that, being curious when I read scripture or when I come to
Mhm.
prayer. Like, I think that's
Mhm.
also the key to having, like, a good scripture read through or any book read through is, like but specifically when it comes to scripture, because sometimes we, like, feel like we've heard the story before, is, like, just to come at it with, like, curiosity, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
what am I gonna learn about Jesus today?" Or
Yeah.
I heard this her name is Mother Mary Catherine, she's in DC. Not DC, she's in Wisconsin. She's in Door County, so different DC. Door County, Wisconsin. She's part of, like, the Sisters of Our Lady of Scripture. No, not
Mm.
so Sisters of Scripture, something like that, something with scripture. And I once
Mhm.
heard her talk, and she was talking about, like, how when she comes to mass, she's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see what Jesus picked for the gospel today." And I was like, "Oh,
That's so sweet.
oh,
I love
yes."
that.
I was like, "I need to look at it that way too."
Yeah.
So, long story long, my word of the year is curiosity.
I
And I'm
love
excited
that.
about it. I think it's a
Yeah.
fun word. I was, like, picking between a couple for a long time.
Yeah.
But when I was at Seek and thinking about giving my talk, because my talk was a lot about my word of the year, steadfast, like, that was a big part of the
Yeah.
story and how I got into my story was steadfast, and then I was like, "Am I
Mhm.
gonna mention what my word of the year is for 2026?" And I was like, "Wait, I
Mhm.
haven't really, like, decided on one," and every single time I pictured I know I actually didn't say it, but when I, like, pictured myself giving the talk and what I was gonna say, and if I did mention the word, every single time I saw myself saying the word curiosity.
Mm.
This needs that I
Mhm.
was like, "Well, that's it. This is
Yeah.
the word.
It has to be it.
It has to be
Yep.
it."
Yeah. That's a great word too. Going from steadfast to curiosity is a very
Yeah.
fun leap. But I think that's good because you're in a phase where you came out of thinking you knew
Mhm,
and then seeing how that got figured out
mhm.
and being curious about what's gonna happen next in your story of what is God gonna write.
Yeah, and I've just realized, like, life is so long. I don't know, like, there's
Mm.
so much that can happen in life. There's so many things you can do in this life. I'm just, like, so impressed by God. Like, there's gonna be, an episode actually coming out probably the week after this one does, where I was able to interview a sister in DC who was talking about her story, and she was saying about I don't wanna spoil it too much, but, like, it took a couple years really for her to, like, lock in her vocation, even though she, like, really thought that she
Mhm.
knew what it was, and she still, like, found her vocation, and I was so impressed by that. I was like, "Man, like, even though it can take years and years to figure out exactly what your vocation is, it's like,
Yeah,
life is long. There's a lot you can do, or you could die tomorrow. I don't know."
there is that option. That is true. Not all
There's a healthy
of it.
balance between recognizing, like, we can dream big because God can do big things in us when we, like, listen to Him and rely on Him. Like, the saints did really big, miraculous things, not because they knew that they could do it, because they knew what God could do. It's like,
Mhm,
that's what we need to remember, like, God can
mhm,
do so much through us,
mm.
and He's our friend. Like, he actually is, like, our friend and really cares for us and pays attention to, like, the very details of our life. Like, God is
Yeah.
a detailed God.
Yes, he
So we
is.
need to be curious. We need to be curious about the details of our lives because the details, I think, reveal the desires, and the desires reveal the path.
Mm, I like that.
Thanks, I
I
just
like
came
that.
up with it right then.
That's a great line,
Great
Eve. I'm
quote. Back
impressed.
pocket that one.
Yes.
Let me see 2027.
Yeah. Curiosity.
Mhm, mhm.
I
I'm
like that.
ready. Alright,
Yeah.
Shelby. Is there anything else you'd like to say about wrapping up? Anything else you're looking forward to in 2026 besides, getting married?
But yeah, I was like,
I don't know, kind of a lame year. Not much going
um,
on.
that's
No bachelorette trip,
good.
no wedding, no honeymoon to Rome, um, moving into a house together.
Yeah.
Nothing big.
Well, pretty standard.
Pretty
Yeah.
standard.
No, I am very excited for 2026. It's gonna be a big year. I'm getting married, moving, honeymoon, and then my sister's getting married this year too. And so we're both currently planning each other's bachelorette trips. I actually really need to finish planning hers. Um,
It'll
but
happen.
yeah, it'll be fine. It'll work out.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but big year for our family. Really excited. Um, apparently I think my parents are also thinking about making some fun changes too in the spirit of our family being um
Wow.
yeah, changed up a bit. So that's exciting. It's just a big year for our family and I'm
Yeah.
really excited. It's going to be crazy. Um but I think stepping into it with courage and not being scared to take action
Mhm.
will be good for me. Yeah. What about you, Eve? Do you have any big things on the horizon that you're, like, stoked for?
Ah, Shelby, when do I not?
I know, you always do. I'm like, "Why
I'm
do I
always
even"
going somewhere different. Definitely, just because, yeah, the nature of my job, I'm traveling quite frequently that I feel like
Mhm.
yeah, I travel more than the average bear, and I feel like that's usually the big thing on people's, like, fun lists. I am planning a pilgrimage with Miss Westlake, which if you've listened to this podcast, you know Miss Westlake. She's been on the podcast. She's an episode you need to go listen to. I re-listened to my episode with Miss Westlake, who is my sophomore year religion teacher, confirmation sponsor, changed my life. Lovely lady. We've kept in touch ever since. I think we are just like kindred souls. But I re-listened to her podcast that I did with her before my Seek talk because it was just so good and what I needed to hear. So I'm leading a pilgrimage with her potentially. It's not like totally set in stone. So please pray for that. I maybe shouldn't be mentioning that on the mic, but here we are.
It's
So
done.
possibly doing that. Might be going to some fun conferences, some
Ooh.
hopefully meeting up with some other, like, Catholic creators.
Yeah,
Big goals for this year? I think I have to, like, write down a little bit more. Definitely wanna be speaking more this year, looking
yeah.
forward to that, looking forward to everyone that I'm gonna meet doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, just kinda keeping the ball rolling, really.
Yeah,
I feel like
keep
also
getting
I'm
them
so
in.
new to DC still. I
Yeah.
haven't done any of the DC things. I haven't gone like, I guess I've driven past the Capitol and the
Mhm.
monuments. I haven't
Yeah.
been to any museums.
You gotta.
They were closed a bit for because of the government shutdown, so we
Oh,
went
that makes
there.
sense.
But I
That
need to,
makes
like, actually do the DC things.
Yeah, the
That's absolutely on
touristy.
my bucket list that I need
Yeah.
to do. I'm looking forward to finally finishing my scrapbook from college. I'm at graduation now, at least. I'm getting close, even though I
Yay.
literally finished college a year ago.
Yeah.
We're
No, that's
almost done.
exciting.
So, little things like
Exciting.
that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, gonna read more books this
Mm.
year. Been on
Good.
a reading kick.
Good.
So, little fun things like that on top of I kinda go wherever. I feel this is how I feel, Shelby, because especially because Benedictine being the way that it is, that everyone got married out of college,
Mhm.
except for a select number of us. Actually, most people didn't, but it feels like most people did.
It feels
I
like,
mean,
yeah.
like, statistically, it was like 25% of our class is already married, and for being
That's
22, that's saying quite a bit. So
Yeah.
and most of my close friends are married/engaged from
Yeah.
college. So, I personally have taken it upon myself to be the crazy fun aunt. That's how I feel. Even though I'm not an aunt by any means, so a lot of my friends is having a baby, so I guess that kind of counts. But I
Yeah.
feel like the fun aunt that gets to travel and see and be at all my friends' cool, fun things, like your wedding and bachelorette and my friend's baby's baptism,
Aw.
and I just get to be there for all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I am also looking forward to that I just get to, like, go and celebrate with other people and visit people
Mhm.
when I want to
Yeah.
because I'm very grateful for the job that I have and the mission that God has for me.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited. 2026 is gonna be
Good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, me too. It's gonna be great. It'll be so fun. Yeah, I have no idea where I'm gonna end the year.
Mhm. That's okay. Why do you need to
Yeah, it's
know?
exciting. No, I don't.
You don't.
Shouldn't, probably.
Yeah.
It'd probably
Don't
scare the
set
crap out of me.
actually, I do have, like, a thought on expectations of, like, we shouldn't set that many expectations because then we always end up disappointed because the expectation didn't go how we thought it was going to.
Yep.
Versus if we're just open to whatever God has, then we can actually appreciate the gifts that He's currently giving us
Yep.
because there weren't any expectations in the first place.
Yep. I really like the have standards, not expectations.
That's good.
Mhm. Yeah.
I like that. If
Yeah.
you were to leave listeners with one thing to reflect on or one thing to ask themselves after listening to this episode, do you got something?
Mm.
Do you need a second to think?
Yes.
Okay, I have one.
Okay, if you
So
have
maybe I
one.
share while you think.
Yes.
Um, This is something that I've been thinking about as someone who posts about content about Jesus, or posts content about Jesus on social media, because this is the question I'm asking myself as I make content. But I think it's applicable to this year, especially if you're a service oriented person. And I think we need to do a better job as a church being more, like evangelizing a little bit better. Just in general, I think more people need to know what Jesus really is about. But the biggest question I'm asking myself as a Catholic content creator is at the end of this year, if someone were to follow my journey for a year, what would I want them to know about God at the end of that year?
Mhm.
That's the question I'm
Mm.
asking myself when I'm like making content, right? Like that
Yeah.
helps keep it keep it at the heart of like what Jesus wants to say and not what I want to say. Like, what do I want people to know about Jesus? But I think that question can be applicable literally to like anyone. Like, think about the
Right.
way that you're living your life. If someone were to look at the way you're living your life for the next year and walk with you on that journey, what do
Mhm.
you hope they know about the Lord because of it?
Mm.
So maybe go
Mhm.
think about that.
Yeah,
Go spend some time in
definitely.
adoration, our favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Um, I think mine is a question. Um, what fear do you have, or what thing are you afraid to let go of that is keeping you from God? And
Mhm.
what do you think is going to happen if you bring that to Him?
Hmm, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a
It's one to
yeah.
unpack.
Yeah, it is. It takes
Mhm.
be gentle with yourself as you ponder that. It takes a lot of time. Listen to Sister Miriam Heidland while you do that.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, wait, just to always listen to Sister Miriam,
yeah,
actually.
always.
When in doubt, Sister
Wonderful.
Miriam James.
For real. For real.
I'm gonna
She is
I bought her Lenten Journey
it's so good, Eve.
when you bought it. I bought it when you bought it, our, like, sophomore year of
I
college,
remember that. Yeah.
and didn't do it. I started it, didn't
Mhm.
do it, but accidentally bought 2 copies. So, I have one that's, like, a week in, and I have one that's fresh. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it this year. It's
Good.
phenomenal. I
It's
think that
really
I don't know
good.
that it would have been beneficial for me at the time.
Yeah.
I think now it will be.
Yeah. Good.
Very good.
Good. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is an excellent retreat. I did it, and then the year after, I read back through it during Lent, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Woo,
Yeah.
dang."
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's good to consider those things that
it
are
is.
keeping us from God, because it's not
Mhm.
always I mean, it is always, but it's not just failures and sins that keep us from God, it's also, like, deeper lying things that we might not realize.
Mm. That actually reminded me, hold on, is it in here? Did I leave my shoot? Okay, I think I left my I was gonna pull out the Imitation of Christ. I
Mm,
think I left it in
it's a
my kitchen,
great
but it was, um, pertaining to this, and I know we just keep talking, but I think this is an important point to make, and just something I was thinking about in adoration that you brought up, and it was talking about having the humility to do what I'm capable of doing. Like,
Mm,
in a way that it was, like, kind of talking about, like, not going out and doing things just for the sake of, like, the recognition or, like it was more about,
mhm,
like, worrying about the things that I can be in control of and, like, doing things
mhm,
that I can be in control of. I was like, "What does that
mhm,
mean?" Like, to only be doing like, I only have to focus and concern myself with the things that I can do and actually do have, like, authority or control
mhm,
over. It's like, okay, if we really break that down, it's like, what do I actually have control of? And that's,
mhm,
do I pray? Do I sin?
mm,
That's it.
mhm. Yeah,
That's what we have to concern ourselves about. Like, the things that we can do, that we have complete and total control over. We don't have control over our
mhm,
circumstances, the things in our
yeah,
lives that happen. We don't
yeah,
have control over other people's actions, but we
mm-mm,
do have control of if we pray, if we talk to God about it, we do have control of if we sin.
mm,
And, um, though if we're not doing those 2 things, that will always hold us back from God. So then it's the
yeah,
question of, why am I not doing those 2 things? Why am I
mhm,
not praying, or why am I falling into sin?
yeah,
So, if you really need to make it that simple for yourself,
mhm,
which sometimes we do,
mhm,
definitely, because it can be
mhm,
practical in how to
mhm,
overcome those things. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it's meditative, it's also can be practical. So,
mhm.
just something to think about.
Yeah,
Alright.
definitely.
Shall we end there, Shelby?
I think so.
I think
I think
so. All right. Thanks so much for listening to the Everyday Safe podcast. And thank you, Shelby, for coming on the podcast once again. We always love a day that Shelby gets to come on the mic. So this was so much fun.
it was great. Thank you, Eve.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.